22nd of September 2023, the day we left for Kerala. Our journey started on Chaturthi. We went to CCU 3 hours prior as was requested by Indigo. There was traffic in front of Sri Bhumi on that day itself. In the airport, there were a lot of people in the boarding area. For security, we had 2.5 hours in the waiting time, which I spent plane spotting. We took off on time and it was quite an experience. The sun was setting in the background of the airport and it was a marvelous sight. Soon we were up in the air and the sun's scorching rays hit us directly. Then slowly the sun set as we went along the Bay of Bengal gradually south. Soon it went pitch dark as we moved over land, though not before an amazing show of color and contrast with a distinct border of what can be said a mid-air horizon. It wasn't all smooth sailing though, as we faced a terrible turbulence of about 30 minutes, from 6:30 p.m. to approx 7:10 p.m. I kept my head against the seat and closed my eyes as the movement of the plane was really being felt throughout my body. Then the next 20 minutes were very silent and the landing was extremely smooth, quite a contrast to what happened 30 minutes before. The Kochi International Airport was beautiful, and after landing we saw that it was India's first fully solar powered airport, quite some feat. We checked in our hotel, the Surya, and bid adieu to the first day of our trip. 30th September 2022. The next day started with a drive to the Marine Drive, which was not really what I had expected, even though I didn't know what I had expected. It was worse even when we came to know that the Mattancherry Palace was closed on Fridays, and 30th September was a Friday. As we headed towards Fort Kochi, we spotted INS Vikram. It made up for the disappointment that I had earlier. While trying to search for Vikrant, I saw the runway and I was overjoyed as I managed to see what I had wanted to see when I first knew that we would be going to Kochi. And Fort Kochi didn't disappoint. The Jewish settlement was well preserved and the European buildings are as good as new. We went to Idukki next and the roads were great, even in the hills. We entered through the exit and were not permitted to enter. After several detours, we managed to reach 1 minute after it got closed. However, we did manage to sneak in and get a view of one of the most spectacular dams of India. By the time we reached our hotel Blue Mist in Munnar, a little outside Munnar, the sun had already set. I managed to set up my tripod and took some long exposure shots. It rained for some time and low-lying, fast-moving clouds gave a nice image in long exposure. 1st October 2022. We woke up to the sun rising amongst the mountains. I set up my tripod to take a nice time lapse of the clouds moving slowly. Through an incredible view of the tea plantations, we went to our first destination of the day, the Ravikulam National Park. Before going on a bus safari to the top, we faced 20 minutes of light drizzle through an amazing bus ride with spectacular and lush green tea plantations on one side and the mountains and waterfalls on one. We reached the top. As we walked up, the views became even more surreal as I was looking for the animal but we didn't know where it was. We almost reached the top when my father told that we should hurry up down as there was a lot more to visit, but I did manage to get some amazing shots of the mist covered tea estates and lofty mountains. When we reached down, I asked a policeman where the animal was, and it was literally just behind. I managed to get a glimpse and a shot before it disappeared in the thick clouds. Before heading to the next destination, I got a chance to test out the neutral density filter at a small stream near the entrance to the national park, and I was pretty happy with the result. Our next destination was the Tata Tea Museum. Just when we were about to get out of the car, it started raining. We ran to the museum There we got to learn a bit of history of the region and the process of creation of tea. After buying and drinking some varieties of tea, including roast tea, we went towards our next destination, which was Stop Station. On the way, we got to see the Matupeti Dam, with tea estates and lush green meadows on the side. The journey was no doubt picturesque. After reaching the parking spot, we had to walk for about 2 to 3 kilometers to reach the top station, and it was a spectacular sight. Lofty green mountains and the numerous windmills of Tamil Nadu in view. It was a fantastic place. On the way back, we stopped at the at a tea estate and took some pictures, including a macro shot of the vibrant tea plants. Then we stopped at Matupeti Dam Eco Point, but it started raining again, so I took some shots and went back. After visiting another dam on the way, we went back to our hotel. By the time we reached, it had already become dark. 2nd October 2022. We went from Munnar to Thekadi in a road lined by cardamom plantations. Well, at first we didn't know it was cardamom. It was my mother who spotted plants, and after quick Google search, we were confirmed. We went to Spice Garden some way before Thekadi. There, a lady explained the various spices and Ayurvedic medicinal plants. Before heading to our hotel, we went to book tickets to the Perio National Park boating, but to our disappointment, bookings were full. So we headed to our hotel, Crystal Cove, quickly, got fresh, and were supposed to head to Rose Garden, but instead we went to see how far the bus ride would take us. And to our joy, it took us all the way to the banks of the Imperial Lake. We explored the surroundings, took some photos of the lake and the monkeys. My father then spotted a group of deers on an island opposite to the banks we were standing on, and I was regretting my decision of not bringing the largest lens. And I let go of what could have been a great wildlife shot. With that regret, we took the bus ride back and went to Rose Park. It was an ecological park with several attractions and an amazing collection of trees and flowers. We took a walk off the park and drank coffee before heading to the famous Kathakali dance show. The eye movements left us in awe as we could bid goodbye to a packed day. 3rd October. This day was no less exciting as we would go to Aleppi, the Venice of the East, and stay in a houseboat. On the way, there were even more of tea gardens, and finally came a waterfall. And I was dying to get a long exposure shot using the empty filters, and the results were more than satisfying. Through mist covered mountains, we reached a place where there were 4 waterfalls in sight, including the one that I took a long exposure of. And many plantations and downward descents later, we saw the backwaters. The road, however, was extremely congested due to ongoing construction of a series of flyovers. And finally, we reached the houseboats, and it was such an amazing view. Ours had rooms in the upper deck as well. I set up my tripod and took a really long hyperlapse of the entire journey through the long Vembanad lake. The boat docked at a small village for some time to buy fishes, and soon we had lunch, and it was delicious. Sometime before sunset, the boats docked and we went about exploring. At a small bridge just some way down, 2 birds were fighting to get as many fishes as they can. One got quite some and one didn't get any. It was quite entertaining. Soon we returned to the boat as the sun was about to set. Twilight gave an amazing chance of photography, and that was the end of a very beautiful day as we enjoyed the houseboats very much. 4th October. The boat returned to where it started from and we left towards Varkala. On several places we saw backwaters on one side and the sea on the other. By afternoon we reached our hotel in Varkala Clifford Resort. The surroundings were mind-blowing and sea was just outside the gate and the resort is situated atop the cliff. However, extreme lack of maintenance made the interiors equally dull. We spent the day exploring the various beaches of Varkala, starting with the Varkala beach. The view of the cliff was amazing, and the birds taking off in the moment I took the photo made for an incredible capture. The next beach we went to was the Kapil Beach and Padover Beach. The foggy appearance due to the stone barriers was just amazing. We had ice cream and then headed to the next beach, Udayam Beach, which few people had visited, and then walked and crossed a small inlet to reach Black Sands Beach. We went back and walked around the cliff for an amazing sunset view. The view of the cliffs was mesmerizing. At some points, the cliff was near vertical fall and there was no barrier. It was terrifying with views of the waves crashing against the cliff is just something else. We were nothing short of being awestruck. 5th October. We went from Varkala to Kovalam. We got an early morning view of the sea from the cliff before heading towards Tiruvananthapuram. We first went to Valley Tourist Village. There was a floating bridge, an old Air Force aircraft, toy trains, and lots of incredible sculptures. Just a bit of walk from there was Shangamugam Beach. After roaming around a bit and drinking coconut water, we went to see the other attractions. There was an Indian Navy helicopter and some unique sculptures. We went to see the Vettukot church and after that we went to Tiruvananthapuram airport. It allows public to go near the terminal building. The zoo was closed and instead of waiting we went to Sri Padmanabha Swami temple. Due to strict dress codes we couldn't enter the temple. We already knew that. It was closed at that time anyway. So we took pictures from outside and even managed to go close to the temple gates. I was rather surprised to see a beggar interacting with me in English, but in Kerala it isn't really a surprise. While we were going towards the exit, I saw a sign which showed directions to the Padmanabha Swami palace. We hurried that way. The palace is located just opposite to the temple. The palace had sloped roofs and typical exterior that you would expect from a Kerala house. In the main palace, a guide lady explained everything in great details. The belongings in the palace speaks for their opulence and extravagance. The ivory throne is just amazing. The other buildings in the complex weren't too interesting. There was one with paintings which showed paintings and photographs showing the life of the kings, and also particularly there was this attraction which is a head of an elephant which the rulers were very fond of it. The head has been preserved very well. I can't remember whether it's just the head or the entire body, but yeah. um, then we went towards the Kovalam beach and the lighthouse, but we hurried towards the lighthouse, but we were 2 minutes late. With that disappointment, we strolled back to the beach. There was a rocky part to which I was not very keen on going, but once we went there, the views were just brilliant. The lighthouse working, the flying kites, and the panoramic view of the Kovalam beach. What a sight! Lots of fish were on display, but I am not much of a fish person and they just looked weird to me. With that, we went back to our homestay and bid goodbye to another wonderful night, a wonderful day in Kerala and the beaches. 6th October. On our way to a day trip to Kanyakumari, we went to Azimala Shiva temple. The beautiful, colorful temple has a huge statue of Shiva by the sea. Near the parking lot was a flight of steps descending towards the beach in a distance. The views from there was just beautiful and the beach was clearly visible. We then went through the mangroves of Paravur and waited at the border crossing for about 20 minutes. In Tamil Nadu, the road quality became pretty bad surprisingly, but then Kerala's roads were extremely smooth up till then, so it was a surprise. And also, there were quite a lot of traffic. The roads just before Kanyakumari, though, were smooth and wide. We walked from the parking towards the sea and the ferry jetty. We passed by the Gandhi Memorial. The queue was a long one, and it took us from around 120 to 250 to reach the Rock Memorial, even with VIP tickets. The teal waters and the panoramic view of the city of Kanyakumari was so great. We went inside the memorial and saw the statues, the meditation zone, and went out through the other side. The views of the waves crashing into the stones were just astonishing. We went back to the mainland and walked across the markets and the seashore. We had some fruit juice for lunch at around 4 pm. We waited for the sunset at 5:30. It was good, but as we had to go back to Kovalam, we couldn't wait for the lights to become even more spectacular. And that was the end of a very long and a day which was spent in the scorching heat of the sun, and also my legs were paining a lot after the day, but it was truly another great day in Kerala and Kanyakumari. 7th October, the day we came back. We started at around 5 in the morning. In the dark, we didn't realize that the road beside the airport was literally by the sea. We waited for around an hour and 20 minutes before boarding. The windows were foggy and nothing could be seen. With a view of the Western Ghats and the clouds, it took us around an hour before we were over Chennai. The marina and Kathipara interchange was clearly visible as we landed into Chennai. We went to the terminal by a bus. The terminal wasn't too fancy, and most importantly, we were on the ground floor, so there was no chance of watching aircrafts and plane spotting at least. It was a long wait of nothing much. With the boredom, we finally boarded at around 1 pm. There wasn't much to watch for most parts, but around 2:20 pm there was an amazing display of clouds. From 3 pm we were over the magnificent Ganges Delta, and to add a cherry on top, there was a rainbow formed over the delta. At 3:30 we landed in Kolkata and were back home. But right after reaching home, I vomited, probably due to jet lag or something. Not the best way to end, but what a trip it had been.
Like empires, we rise and then we fall.